So we had a question from somebody who said, I will be self-publishing my first novel. I have a lot of characters. I plan to record the male voice and hire someone for the female roles. I may need help in mixdown. My question is making the book available, and it seems that Audible is the best for such a project. So there are actually several items in here I'm going to go ahead and address. The first is self-publishing your first novel. Congratulations. Yes, success. It is it's a big deal for all of you who are authors. I get it. I'm an author myself, and even though I've been steeped in the indie publishing realm, I was amazed at how many challenges there were or questions I had in the process once I got into actually publishing it. Okay, having a lot of characters, great. Okay, in terms of planning to record the male voice and hire someone for the female roles, my first question around that would be, are is are you planning to record uh, all the male voices and have one female record all the female voices? I'm going to address this a little bit generally in some ways because I don't know the answers to these questions. The first is this question might be coming out of an assumption, or the plan might be coming out of an assumption that when you have dialogue, you need different voices to voice those different characters. That is not typical in audiobooks, although it is certainly a fun and exciting doing a full cast project where you do have many voices as a part of the project reading those different characters. So the first thing I would do would be I'd want to look at that script, that manuscript, and see if it is suggesting to me that, oh, this is really dialogue heavy. This would work well as a full cast audiobook. And if not, it might be that we just need to adjust that assumption. And if he's going to read as the main narrator, then helping him understand how to do the different roles for each character. And for any of you who are narrators, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then help in the mix down. So I just want to bring up a couple items here that people may not be aware of when you're thinking about having multiple voices. So one is that each person, typically, almost exclusively, is narrating in a different space with a different microphone. And for every difference that you are, and in a different external space as well, because our booths only do so much to mitigate, the leaf blowers and the airplanes and the HVAC and all that stuff. Um, so so there are a lot of factors just in terms of the basic sound and the change in microphone, the change in booth. Um, all of those are going to create a different sort of what we call a room tone, different sound of silence. You might think silence sounds like nothing, but actually it has a real sound. And so it's a little bit like you can kind of sense if you walk into an auditorium versus walking into a walk-in closet, you can kind of feel the difference. It's a little bit like that. So as we think about having multiple voices, then that room tone is going to be different for each one. So a part of the post-production process is about getting those sounds to sound as close as possible. And I also want to say that it should be part of the pre-production process as well, because initially you want to get that recording as close as you can so people sound as much as possible like they're in the same space. And that then makes the post-production much more effective and successful. So that's just one aspect. And then typically, again, not always, but typically, if you're doing a full cast project, then you may also be thinking about music and sound effects because they often go hand in hand. Not every time, but very, very often. Now, the next part of the question was about distribution, making the book available. Um, and I'm going to just differentiate one other thing about distribution and marketing, because a lot of people will join those together and think of them as kind of the same thing, but they're actually quite different. Distribution is literally getting your book into some place where a customer can then purchase it. And marketing is about letting people know where your audiobook is. Okay, so think of it in those two ways. One is getting it on the shelf, and the other is, the news. Hey, go get it on the shelf. Okay, so the question, going back, he said, my question is making the book available, and it seems that Audible is the best for such a project. I disagree with that assumption that Audible is the best. Okay, Audible is without doubt the biggest audiobook marketplace, but biggest does not mean best. So one of the biggest challenges with Audible is that they're going to pay you as an author the smallest royalties. The second biggest problem with them is that they're going to give you no control. So I just recently, another author was expressing her frustration. She just recently launched. She went through ACX, which I highly do not recommend. And then, so she was only able to get the book on Audible and iTunes, and then discovered, but I have no control. That's exactly right. Um, and um, with other audiobook distribution options, we typically use Authors Republic as a distribution to get it out to the widest number of channels. At least in that context, you are able to suggest a price for your audiobook, but you've got to remember it is only a suggestion. It is an MSRP, manufacturer's suggested retail price. Now, many retailers will accept that price and go with it, but they are not obligated to. None are. And on ACX, they won't even ask you because they don't care what you want to sell it for. They're going to sell it for whatever they want to sell it for. Now, the good news, if you haven't heard it yet, yeah, and I've been shouting out about it a lot. So the good news is that there is now, as of this year, as of July 2023, there is a better solution, which is Amplify Audiobooks. And that is a place, it's kind of like the Etsy of audiobooks in that it's like a mall where each author has their own store for their own audiobooks. And on Amplify Audiobooks, you're going to have all the controls that you need and all the information you need. So the big things that you're missing everywhere else except for on Amplify are you can't control. So you get to control pricing on Amplify. You can set your price, change it anytime. The change is, happens right away. So you're in control in that way, including all of your information. I don't know if, as authors, if you've ever had the experience of doing your book description and then you decide, oh, I think it would be better if I had changed this first line, and then like it takes months for it to actually show up in the place. This is instantaneous. You do it, you hit save, it's changed. So controlling your information, being able to run a promotion. So that's, where you schedule a sale. This week, my book is on sale for this amount. So you can schedule promotions. You can do discount codes. Now that's all kinds of discount codes. You can do 50% off or $2 off. So a dollar amount, a percentage, and you can put limits on that. You can have an expiring coupon, things like that. You can also do 100% off if you want to give it away free to somebody, either in, a review request or something else. In terms of reviews, just keep in mind that And Amplify, when you create a coupon for a free audiobook on Amplify, your review, you're never guaranteed, no matter where you get a coupon, that they're going to post a review, right? So when you, um, so if they post a review, they're not going to be able to get their book on Amplify and post a review on Audible, just to be clear. And again, Audible is not your best place to be selling your audiobooks. So on your websites, you want to make sure you're pointing to your Amplify page, not to Audible, because you want the best results. Okay, so that's coupon codes. The fourth really, really, really valuable thing that you get in Amplify audiobooks is access to your own customer information. Just, name and email address. They are opted in when they purchase your audiobook, so you know who bought your audiobook, and you're able to follow up with them, to build your community with them, to build your following. That is, you can add them to your email list. Just always, you should always make sure that you have an unsubscribe option as part of your newsletter. That's just standard. Um, so I think that is the main thing that I wanted to cover. So you get a whole lot more royalties, a whole lot more control. Nancy.
Is Amplify part of the Pro Audio company? Are they aligned?
It is. It is a platform we developed.
I see.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so that was answering his question about whether Audible was the best. I will also just say it's good to also have your book on Audible. I'm not saying don't put it anywhere else. You could choose to and have it be exclusive, but that's totally your option because Amplify Audiobooks is a standalone, non-exclusive platform. What I do recommend is if you have an audiobook that you haven't launched yet, is start on Amplify. And the reason is because when you send out that first announcement about your launch, you're going to probably at that point get some of your biggest response from your, dedicated fans. So you'll want those people to be getting it from the place where you're going to earn much higher royalties and know who bought it. That was the other piece I missed. The royalties. Okay, huge difference. Just to give you a general idea on the difference in earnings from Amplify versus Audible. For a $14.95 sale, which is the price of a credit generally on Audible, and that's the way many of their subscribers will purchase audiobooks. Audible has a very complicated formula. It's not clear. I don't know how they get away with not making it clear what their contract is, but somehow they do. And you'll earn about $2.72. Well, that's actually a little less than that. For a $14.95 sale, you'll earn a little less than $2.72. If somebody buys it as a subscriber, but they buy it as an additional book, that's when they earn the $2.72, or you earn that. On Amplify, for the exact same sale where you've decided you're going to sell it for $14.95, you'll get $9.71. So if you start adding that up book by book, it doesn't take very many sales for you to see a really big difference. So that's because you're getting 65% of the gross price that you choose to sell it for versus a net price of, everyone's taken out their cut, all their expenses for running it on their platform have been covered, and now there's a little bit of profit left over. They're going to give you 25% of that. 25% of that. It's really, it can be very discouraging as an author, and I found it really frustrating for our clients over many years, um, how little they were able to earn in royalties from sales through Audible. And so, yeah, Amplify is a dream come true for me because we can really help our clients succeed in a much bigger way than has been possible before.